are powers on Earth too hidden to be seen, and conspiracies too vast to comprehend. For years, the world has seen fact distorted, reality manipulated, and the truth concealed. Join the Pierre Sebak podcast to uncover the real meanings behind ancient aliens and their symbolism.
Hi, this is Pierre Sebak, unlocking the keys to the mysteries. Now today I want to look at the Apocrypha, and in particular I want to look at the references to the reptiles who are mentioned in the Apocrypha. Now, discussed throughout Apocryphal literature, particularly in the Testament of Amran, we have references to heavenly angels, but these angels are featured as a type of dragon or reptile. Now this can really be understood to be a consortium which are equated to the seraphim. And as I've mentioned before, the seraphim is equated or likened to a military crew member of a naval vessel. As we said before in my previous videos, there is this correlation between Saba, which is the naval host, which is correlated with Yahweh Sabaoth, the Lord of the host, and Sephath, which is a viper. In this respect would equate to Seraph, which is a serpent. Now, the crew members of a naval vessel are the seraphim, and again, these can be understood to be a type of angel or alien. Remember that in the Aramaic, Zar, an angel, is polymorphic and also means an alien or an angel. The two terms are synonymous. So the seraphim, they can be understood to be an agency which are averted in the Bible to the angelic host, and the host are understood to be crew members of vessels. Now, the host are also connected with the watchers, and the watchers are described in the Greek as drakon and in the Hebrew as the seraphim. And again, the seraphim are a type of sailor, hence the correlation between Sapan, a sailor, and seraph. Now, we can also say that the seraphim are also identified with this non-human species, which are represented as the dragon. So I'm going to make reference to this by reading out the Testament of Amran. So when we look at the Testament of Amran, fragment 1, which is retrieved from the Dead Sea Scrolls, we find the following intriguing quotation. So Amran wrote, "I saw watchers." Now the terminology here for a watchers is Erin, and again the etymology of Erin is a wordplay on Elohim. And again, the same connection would be found in the Greek between Theos, God, and Theoros, a watcher. So Amran writes, "I saw watchers in my vision. I asked them, 'What are you?' They answered and said to me, 'We have been made masters and rule over all of the sons of men.' I raised my eyes and I saw one of them. His looks were frightening, like those of a viper." Now it's very interesting because Amran traditionally is said to be the father of Moses. In addition, the wording Amran means a lofty nation within the Arabic. So again, this is the namesake implies one who is born of heaven, or is a son or a descendant of the watchers. This, in this respect, would be the Ben Sira, the sons of a boat. The Hebrew wordplay Sira, boat, is a wordplay on Sira, on the Arabic word for Sirius. So those who are born of a boat are born of Sirius. Now, going back to Amran, in the vision we can say that the watchers, that they are deemed to be a type of an authority, and they are said to govern over mankind. Again, I think that this is really important to emphasize, that they are non-human in appearance. And so according to Amran's testimony, the patriarch uses the term in the ancient Aramaic, the terminology Erin, which is the plural noun for the watchers. And again, the terminology Erin, the watchers, is used to refer to a type of a deity or an angel. In many respects, we can say that it's an enumeration which is transposable in the ancient languages with a dragon or a seraph, hence the connection between Sopheth, a watcher, seraph, and serapha, which is fire. Again, the etymology of erin, which are the watchers or the shining ones, it's polymorphic, as this connotation of a shining one, which in this respect would be a seraphim or a type of Elohim. Again, the connection between Elohim and erin, the watchers. Now, as we can see, the angel's dreadful appearance is understood really to be quite strange, and I think that this representation is certainly a major thread which is coincident throughout biblical symbolism, and I think that this is useful to look at. So we're going to now turn our attention to the book of Judges, and in the book of Judges chapter 13 verse 6 we find the following curious description of an angel. So the judge writes, "Then the woman came and told her husband, saying, A man of God came unto me, and his countenance was like the countenance of an angel of God, very terrible." Now, we can understand this obviously to be a type of seraphim, because as I've said before, the seraphim were deemed to be non-human in appearance, they were understood to be alien in appearance. So, as we're finding with the Apocrypha version of Amran, there is this tradition in which the biblical authors adhere to the odd belief that the angels are very terrible, or that they're certainly very frightening in their external form. And this similarity is also found within the Bible, in particular book of Judges, in which the watchers are described as frightening or terrible. And in the biblical passage of Judges, we find that the wording or etymology Malach Elohim, it's translated literally as an angel of God, but Malach Elohim actually means the high angel, okay, or an angel which is a type of Elohim. And I think that this is very important to emphasize, because the terminology Elohim is often used in the biblical tradition interchangeable with Malach, which is an angel. So a Malach Elohim, a high angel, is interchangeable. The terminology Elohim and Malach are one and the same. Now, in the Testament of Amran, the terminology Malach Elohim is inferred to be non-human, and therefore can be understood otherwise to be a seraphim. Now, significantly throughout the Old Testament, the designation Malach, an angel, is therefore, when we begin to break down the etymologies, equated with an Elohim, a god or a deity. So biblically, therefore, a Malach Elohim can be understood to be interchangeable with an Elohim. The two terminologies are interchangeable. And I think that this in itself is very instructive, because the combination of the two words, Malach, an angel, and the Elohim, reverentially a god, suggests that in the original text the angels and the Elohim are one and the same type of species. They are a class of being which can be considered to be divine, whose appearance is described in the words of the Bible and the Apocrypha as terrible or frightening. If we went back to the reference to Amran, he said specifically that the watchers were frightening, that their countenance were like those of a viper. And so I just want to reiterate a couple of points. We can say, therefore, that in the book of Judges, there is this documentation of the Malach Elohim, literally a high angel, and the Malach Elohim are described as terrible. The connotation is of a seraphim. Now, the adjective based upon the root terrible is from the etymology of yara, which is to be afraid. And again, I think that this is very important when we're dealing with the Elohim, because the prime root yara, to be afraid, is used as an esoteric marker of the Hebrew etymology Yahweh. So there's a wordplay on Yahweh and Yara, which is fearful. So the Hebrew verb yara is used to connote the psychological reaction of fear, and it's an effective pun on the name of Yahweh, which can be translated loosely into English as Lord, strictly an entity. Again, the etymology Yahweh is coming from the etymology of Ayah, which is the verb to be, which is a wordplay on Ayah, which is a serpent. Again, this would connote the Lord of the seraphic host. As we said before, there is this relationship between Saba, the host, Sepheth, which is a type of viper, which is equated with Seraph, which is a shining serpent, Serapha, which is fire. The connotation here would be astrological. The terminology would connote Sira, which is Sirius, the shining or sparkling star. So the seraphim, therefore, they can be understood as being very awe-inspiring. They're very frightening to look at. And this is certainly also the implication when we look at the name of Yahweh, in terms of that both the seraphim and Yahweh are very frightening to look at. Now, the seraphim are the highest rank of angel, and it's really, again, the terminology seraph is an appellation that cross-references with the Old Semitic stem ru'akh, which is terror. And I think that this is very important because when we look at some of the possible word configurations or possible word associations or word plays, it's very interesting, particularly when we look at the wording of seraph. So we see here that the noun seraph can be understood to be a type of compound pun on Sar, which is the Old Semitic word for a prince, and Raf, which is terror. So in this respect, a prince of terror is a seraph. And we can understand that the seraph is a type of angel, in particular a Malach Elohim, which would designate the seraph as a type of Elohim, in the same way that Yahweh's original name is Eya and is coming from the root aya, which is the verb to be, which would connote an entity, entitas in the Latin, from the verb to be. But again, aya, which is the verb to be, connotes Aya, which is a serpent, in this respect the lord of the seraphic host. So in short, we can say that the Elohim, that they are pictured as terrifying, and that they can be understood to be a type of non-human entity. And again, the Erin, the Elohim are equivalent to the Erin, which are the watchers or the shining ones, which in the Testament of Amram were understood to be a type of seraphim. Hence they were very frightening in their appearance. We can also say, and I think that this is very important to emphasize, that the seraphim are considered to be a ruler over mankind. And this is important because if the seraphim are the ruler over mankind, then that would again infer that the seraphim are the same type of entity as the Elohim, because the Elohim are also said to rule over mankind. So Amram stated very specifically, we in this respect, Erin, the watchers or the shining ones, have been made masters and rule over all of the sons of men. Okay, I think that's basically a rundown of the Testament of Amram and the correlation between the seraphim and the Malach Elohim. So if you've enjoyed this video, then please give this video a thumbs up. Please subscribe to my channel to watch more videos like this. Again, if you are interested in this material, then please purchase a book from my website, Pierre Sabak Books. I've got 2 books at the moment, The Murder of Reality and Holographic Culture. Again, by purchasing a book, it really helps to support my work, and it helps me to continue to make these videos. This is Pierre Sabak. Let's try and make this a better world. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you.